Hello, it's Monday the 8th of April and we're going to take a look at Bitcoin, which seems to be breaking higher, and some pretty nice moves in some altcoins moving higher, although they have, as we come into the Open, the US Open, hit some pretty interesting resistance levels. So in terms of the bigger macro picture, what's going on in the world in terms of kind of scheduled news, it's a pretty quiet start to the week, although today is this big solar eclipse that will move across the United States. A solar eclipse is really a new moon on steroids, and I tend to see kind of full moons as kind of intensification of whatever is going on, and new moons can quite often be reversal points. I said before, previous eclipses have marked the high and the sell-off and the loss of the peg in Terra Luna. The last low in FTX before they folded and declared bankruptcy was also an eclipse. So I'm not sure which way this eclipse is going to go. I think it's promising volatility, but it could be the start of the next swing or final swing higher. It could also mark a pause. We're 12 days away from the halving, and when we take a look at what has happened in previous halvings, so this is a 2-week chart of Bitcoin. If we go back to the previous halvings, you can see that previously around these events, we've usually seen a month or two of sideways chop before the bigger or next leg rally of the begins. Here again, we saw the same after the halving in 2016. We were sideways in a bit of a range, for 3 months. Before we continued higher, and we had a little bit of sideways chop following the halving in 2020, and then the top of that sideways range became support before we continued higher, very much similar to what we saw in 2016. We broke out of this sideways range, we pulled back and tested the top of that range as support and continued higher. So markets learn very quickly. Is the market anticipating and front running what's going to happen around this halving? Are we starting the next swing higher? I am not sure. I will say I don't tend to like a big move on a Monday morning from Asian trading ahead of the US Open. It quite often gets reversed after the Open on a Monday, although Mondays are quite often the most bullish day of the week in legacy markets. And so I think what's going to happen is around these previous highs is going to be quite important. If we just test the top of the range and do a typical kind of Bitcoin double top, double bottom. For example, this high here that we made in June 2023, we made a high, retested the high with a margin on a new high and reversed. And Bitcoin tends to do that on lows as well. We make a low, retest the low with a false break lower and reverse. So a little false break higher here wouldn't be very good. One thing we talked about a couple of weeks ago was the number of people positioned in calls for end of April, most of them kind of end of April onwards, and particularly at the end of this month. Call options, market's very, very long of these call options, and all of them need to be above 70,000 to be in the money. Now the problem with that is, you can't buy a call option without somebody being on the other side, usually a market maker, and so all of those market makers therefore are positioned the other way, in other words bearish or not, or short. And if we then break and hold above this 70,000 level and keep going, they will have to buy as well, and that will give us quite a volatile move higher. So let's take a look at the regular Bitcoin chart and see where that might be. Now at the moment we are holding pretty nicely above these 2021 highs, the highs that we made in April and November. And so, when I'm not sure where we're going to go, I kind of use fibs to project. So for example, I'm going to go from this high that we made in November to this low. Of course, that was the lunar eclipse, that was the FTX eclipse, and here we are on the not sure what we'll call this next eclipse. So for me, just these fib projections, 76,000 and 83,500. But as you know, I very often think that there is a relationship between the swings. So if I measure this first swing to this, and then we had this lovely 3-wave correction, didn't we? I had 2 levels, but this 2.618 level at 65,000 really was my first target. And so if we hold above it, I have to say it's looking pretty good for that 80,900 to 83,500 level, which is where this would be big wave 3. Now, if we get up here ahead of the halving, which again is 12 days away, if we get up to this 80,000, 83,000 level, I would not be surprised if that then looks like 5 waves up from the low that we made in September. And so if that's the case, then this wave 1 and this wave 5, if that's what we're doing here, should have a relationship as well. Let's see if they line up. And so I'm going to go here from this low. Yeah, that equal measured move is up there as well. And that kind of lines up with these levels we've got as well. So I have to say that if we continue higher and the market makers chase, then 76,000 and 83,500 to 84,500 is kind of where we're looking at moving to next. So that's what I see now. We may just go sideways, we may still be in this correction, but it's starting, in terms of size, right? If this is just a wave, this is very similar to the wave 3 we made, so I wouldn't be surprised if it pushed higher. But we kind of need to get through today, and we kind of need to get through these previous highs. So as I said before here, I don't think you should be shorting Bitcoin, but this may be kind of a good sideways level to reduce leverage. Well, if you're still long, then these are the next upside targets. You really don't want to buy breakouts. You really want to buy pullbacks. So if we're going to keep going here, we will see a shallow pullback, a sideways. We will hold these moving averages on the hourly or lower time frames. I like 4-hour pullbacks personally, but that's what we will see if this keeps going high. So if you're shorter term trading, try and buy pullbacks, and let's see if we can keep going. Now, one thing I do tend to look at, let's take all the way this news. So in terms of short term trading, I look at this most recent swing that we are in. So I am expecting these highs to get retested, but I look at the fib levels as like a ladder. We go level to level to level. So from the high that we made on the 14th of March to the low that we made on the 20th of March, we reversed at the 786, hit the first target 38.2. We bounced up to the middle, big 50% pullback. Here we are at the 886. Now, are we going to see another pullback here? 72,200. If we do, then what's the fib target if we reverse here back to this 50% level, which would be down to 67? So we would have a short-term short here underneath 70,900, back down to 67,200. But if we hold this level, we're still trending high. So this is the key support. This is the level we're watching. And if we hold above 72,280, basically, we're going to keep going higher and retest the highs here at 73,750. And then we'll see what happens. We might get above, we might hold above, and we just keep going. Again, it could be quite volatile if we break out of this sideways range that we are going to be in. So just be careful and watch out for that. Today's going to be very interesting. I actually think this is going to be quite an interesting week. And it's not just, news, but really what's going on in the world. Everything feels really intense at the moment. And yeah, let's see. I'm much happier when we're the other side of this week, let's put it that way. So quiet start to the week. The big kind of macro news is really all comes in on Wednesday. Bank of New Zealand, American inflation data, Bank of Canada, bond auction, Fed minutes. So Wednesday's quite a hairy day. That's the 10th. And then on Thursday, the 11th, we've got the ECB and so on. So we are seeing inflation as measured by bond yields tick higher, and that it's also, you know, we're seeing a really interesting bid in gold and silver and shiny metals and a lot of commodities as well. If you count Bitcoin as a commodity, it wouldn't be weird if we break out of this range if we keep going higher. Now, if we break out, really, this could be a false breakout, so I can't urge you enough. Wait for a three-wave pullback and see if it holds support to keep going higher. Okay, good luck. Let me know if there's any altcoins you